Angie Gojo, Satoru Gojo's 16-year-old cousin, tears through the dimensional rift right after Yuji, crashing into Kuo town to secure the prison realm. As a second-year Jujutsu student, his arrival completely shifts the power balance between the Jujutsu sorcerers and the Kuo devils. Character design and appearance. The look: a sharp, custom matte black Jujutsu high uniform with a high collar. Physical traits: messy grayish-blue hair that falls over striking, luminous emerald green eyes. The vibe: at 16, he carries the arrogant, effortless confidence of the Gojo clan, but with a darker, more grounded aesthetic than Satoru. Cursed technique: void gravity. Unlike Satoru's limitless, Angie manipulates gravity directly, forcing everyone in Kuo town to feel the weight of a Jujutsu sorcerer. Event Horizon: creates an invisible localized field around himself where gravity is multiplied by hundreds, pinning devils and fallen angels to the floor instantly. Singularity Attraction: pulls objects, enemies, or even space itself toward a central point, allowing him to snatch the prison realm cube away from anyone who touches it. Repulsion Wave: reverses gravitational pull to launch enemies into the sky or deflect incoming magical attacks like Issei's Dragon Shot. The Interruption: pulling up on Ria's. Angie drops from the sky directly into the middle of Yuji's standoff with the Gremory household. Oi, Yuji! Hand over the box. Satoru is embarrassing enough as a captive, we don't need these cosplayers touching him. Rias and her peerage deploy their demonic aura, but Angie steps forward. With a simple flick of his fingers, he activates his technique, forcing Koneko and Issei to their knees as the ground cracks beneath them under immense gravitational pressure. He makes it clear that while Satoru is sealed, the Gojo clan is far from helpless. Angie Gojo, Satoru Gojo's 16-year-old cousin, and a registered special-grade Jujutsu sorcerer, tears through the dimensional rift right after Yuji, crashing into Kuo town to secure the sealed prison realm. As a second-year student possessing reality-warping gravitational power, his arrival completely upends the supernatural hierarchy of the devil world. Character profile: Angie Gojo. Appearance: messy grayish-blue hair framing striking, luminous emerald green eyes. Attire: a sleek, custom matte black Jujutsu high uniform with a sharp, high collar. Status: special grade. At just 16, his sheer cursed energy reserves rival natural disasters, carrying the signature, effortless arrogance of the Gojo bloodline. Special grade technique: void gravity. While Satoru commands infinity, Angie controls the fundamental force of gravity, manipulating mass and space with terrifying precision. Event Horizon: creates an invisible localized field where gravity is instantly multiplied by hundreds, pinning high-ranking devils to the dirt before they can cast a single spell. Singularity Attraction: warps space to pull objects, enemies, or the prison realm cube directly into his hand from miles away. Gravitational Collapse: his ultimate offensive move, crushing targets under localized black hole-level pressure, completely bypassing traditional demonic magic and barriers. The Entrance: pulling up on the Gremory household. Angie drops from the sky, shattering the pavement right as Yuji is surrounded by the Gremory household. The sheer weight of his special-grade presence causes the air to turn heavy, making it difficult for the devils to breathe. Oi, Yuji! Hand over the box. Satoru is embarrassing enough as a captive, we don't need these winged cosplayers touching him. Ria's Gremory, sensing danger, steps forward and unleashes her power of destruction. Angie doesn't even blink. With a casual flick of his wrist, he activates his technique. Instantly, a massive invisible weight slams down. Issei's boosted gear screams a warning as he, Koneko, and Kiba are forced to their knees, the ground cracking violently beneath them. Angie stands perfectly fine in the center of the crushed crater, proving that even with Satoru sealed, a special-grade Gojo is a god among monsters. The dimensional boundary of the underworld shatters like glass. High above the dimensional gap, Two of the most powerful entities in existence, Great Red, the Dragon of Dragons, and Ophis, the infinite dragon god, converge on a single human. Standing on empty space, 16-year-old Anji Gojo adjusts the collar of his matte black Jujutsu high uniform. His grayish-blue hair whips in the cosmic wind, and his emerald-green eyes glow with absolute boredom. In his left hand, he casually tosses the sealed prison realm cube. Battle in the dimensional gap. Ophis, infinite dragon god, and Great Red, Dragon of Dragons. vs. Anji Gojo, special grade. The clash of infinites. Great Red roars, a sound that vibrates through reality itself, and fires a massive blast of pure, conceptual destruction. Simultaneously, Ophis blinks, manifesting her infinite manifestation energy to erase Anji from existence. Cute, Anji mutters. He doesn't dodge. He doesn't even drop the cube. He raises his right hand, 2 fingers crossed. Cursed technique, Event Horizon. An invisible, localized barrier of absolute gravity snaps into existence around him. The concept of weight ceases to be a measurement and becomes a physical wall. Great Red's breath attack hits the barrier and violently warps, bending 90 degrees downward into the void. Ophis's infinite erasure magic slows to a crawl, trapped in a time-dilated gravitational well where light itself cannot escape. Crushing the gods. Before the 2 dragon gods can register that their ultimate attacks were casually deflected, Anji flexes his fingers downward. Void gravity, singularity. A pinpoint of pitch-black energy forms between Great Red and Ophis. The gravitational pull is instantaneous and absolute. Great Red, a creature the size of an island, yelps as his colossal body is violently dragged toward the center. Ophis tries to phase through space, but Anji's gravity is so dense it warps space-time itself, dragging her physical form back into reality. The impact, the 2 strongest entities in Highschool DxD collide into each other at supersonic speeds, pinned together by an artificial black hole. The pressure, Great Red's armor-like scales begin to crack and shatter under the localized weight of 10,000 stars. The defeat, Ophis's infinite energy reserves are completely choked out, compressed so tightly she cannot even manifest her power. Absolute dominance. Anji floats down, stopping right in front of the writhing, pinned dragons. The pressure radiating from his special grade cursed energy completely eclipses the aura of the dragon gods. He looks down at them, his emerald eyes cold and mocking. You guys talk a lot about infinity and dreams in this world, Anji says, tapping the prison realm cube against his leg. But my cousin Satoru is the only one allowed to be infinite. To me, you're just heavy garbage. With a final flick of his wrist, he releases the pressure, sending both Great Red and Ophis crashing into the depths of the dimensional gap, bruised, battered, and thoroughly defeated by a human teenager. Yuji catches up to Anji just as the 2 dragon gods crash into the abyss, his jaw dropping in pure disbelief. He lunges forward, grabbing the 16-year-old special grade by the shoulders of his matte black uniform. Yuji's panic attack. The lecture, Anji. Are you insane? You just beat up the literal gods of this world. We are supposed to be laying low. The concern, Yuji waves his arms around frantically, pointing down at the crater left by Great Red and Ophis. We just got here, and you're already causing natural disasters. What if the rest of the locals think we are enemies? The reality check. Yuji reminds Anji that their number 1 priority is finding a way to unseal Gojo, not picking fights with giant dragons. Anji's bored response. Anji casually shoves Yuji's hands off his shoulders and tosses the prison realm cube in the air, catching it effortlessly. His emerald green eyes don't show a hint of remorse. Relax, Yuji. If the gods of this world are this fragile, then nobody here can stop us anyway. Besides, they started it. Sukuna's sudden input. Suddenly, a mouth splits open on Yuji's cheek, and Ryman Sukuna's voice echoes out, dripping with malice and amusement. Ha ha ha. Well done, brat. The lizards deserve to be crushed. Though, if you really want to test that gravity of yours, Angie, try pointing it at me next time. Yuji slaps his own cheek to shut Sukuna up, sighing heavily. He realizes that between a reckless special grade Gojo and the king of curses living inside his own body, keeping Kuo Town safe is going to be an impossible job. Angie casually catches the prison realm cube, looking Sukuna's mouth dead in the eye. A smirk tugs at the corner of his mouth as his grayish-blue hair shadows his glowing emerald eyes. Nah. You're kinda weak. The ultimate disrespect. The silence, the entire dimensional gap goes dead silent as Yuji freezes in sheer terror. The provocation, Angie openly mocks the king of curses, completely unfazed by the title that strikes fear into the entire jujutsu world. The logic, to a special grade Gojo who just flattened the two strongest concepts in this universe, a fragmented soul trapped in a teenager isn't a threat, it's a minor inconvenience. Sukuna's fury. Sukuna's eye snaps open under Yuji's left eye, veins bulging furiously across Yuji's face. The king of curses has never been so casually degraded by a 16-year-old. You arrogant little brat. I will dismantle you piece by piece until there's nothing left of your bloodline. Yuji intervenes. Before Sukuna can force a binding vow or take control, Yuji aggressively smacks his own cheek, violently suppressing the curse. He grabs his head, sweating profusely, looking at Angie like he has a death wish. Angie, stop egging him on. Yuji yells, his voice cracking from the stress. Do you want him to switch out and destroy the whole city? Satoru is already gone, I can't handle both of you being menaces. Angie just chuckles, turning his back and walking toward the rift leading back to Kuo Town. Let him try. My gravity works on souls too, Yuji. Now hurry up, we have a box to open. As they head back to the human world, Angie and Yuji step back through the dimensional rift, slipping into the quiet streets of Kuo Town under the cover of a moonlit night. They walk past the iron gates of Kuo Academy, the dark windows of the school reflecting the pale moon. Suddenly, the ambient temperature drops. The puddles on the pavement freeze into solid sheets of ice, as a massive, magical pink circle manifests right in front of them. The magical girl entrance. Out of the glowing crest steps Seraphol Leviathan, one of the four Satans of the underworld. She is wearing her over-the-top, sparkling magical girl outfit, holding her signature staff. Nighttime encounter, Kuo Academy. Seraphol Leviathan, Satan, versus Angie Gojo, and Yuji Itadori, Jujutsu High. Instead of looking threatening, she strikes a dramatic pose, winking at the two trespassers. Halt, suspicious boys Tilda. I am the magical girl Leviathan, and you're making the nighttime air way too gloomy. Tell Leviathan what you're doing at my cute little sister's school, or I'll have to punish you Tilda. The reactions. Yuji's utter confusion, Yuji blinks, completely bewildered by the grown woman dressed as an anime magical girl. He whispers loudly to Angie, Angie? Is this another god? Why is she dressed like that? Should we run? Angie's total boredom, Angie doesn't even stop walking. His emerald green eyes track the frost creeping up the school gates. He adjusts the high collar of his matte black uniform, tossing the prison realm cube casually. Hey, Yuji. Look, a clown. Just walk past her. Turning serious. Seraphol's cheerful smile instantly vanishes. As a Satan, she already felt the cosmic shockwave from Great Red and Ophis being crushed in the dimensional gap, and the trail led straight to these two teenagers. The playful magical girl aura disappears, replaced by a suffocating, freezing pressure that makes the air crackle with ice. The ground beneath Yuji and Angie shatters into frost. I wouldn't do that if I were you, Fall says, her voice dropping to a freezing, absolute calm. You two are the ones who disrupted the dimensional gap. As a Satan of the underworld, I cannot let entities as dangerous as you roam freely near Rias and Sona. Angie stops. He turns his head slightly, his grayish-blue hair catching the moonlight. A sharp, arrogant smirk spreads across his face. A Satan, huh? Angie mutters, lifting his hand as a dark purple spark of cursed energy begins to swirl around his fingers. Let's see if your ice can handle absolute zero density. The tension is breaking. The frosty air around Kuo Academy turns deadly silent. Fall Leviathan stands her ground, her demonic aura expanding until the entire school block is encased in a thick, crystalline dome of absolute ice. The sheer drop in temperature freezes the dew in mid-air, creating a glittering, lethal mist. Gojo takes his hands out of the pockets of his matte black uniform. He lets the prison realm cube rest loosely in his left palm, totally unbothered by the frost creeping up his boots. His grayish-blue hair stirs in the freezing draft, but his emerald green eyes are fixed intently on the magic circle hovering behind the Satan. You speak pretty highly of yourself for someone wearing a costume, Angie says, his voice cutting clearly through the howling, icy wind. Fall's playful demeanor is entirely gone now. Her eyes narrow into sharp slits. You boys entered our territory, without permission, after causing a disturbance that shook the entire dimensional gap. I am the ruler of the underworld's ice. I won't let you threaten my sister's peace. With a swift, elegant wave of her staff, she unleashes her signature spell. Celsius Cross. A massive, multi-layered cross of absolute zero ice erupts from the pavement, rushing toward Angie and Yuji at hypersonic speed. The attack doesn't just freeze the physical space, it completely stops the molecular movement of everything it touches, threatening to lock the two sorcerers in a permanent cryogenic stasis. Angie! Look out! Yuji yells, his instincts kicking into overdrive as he prepares to leap back, cursed energy already wrapping around his fists. Stay put, Yuji, Angie commands calmly. He steps forward, placing himself between Yuji and the incoming wall of absolute zero. He raises his right hand, extending his index and middle fingers together in a precise, practiced gesture. He doesn't use his standard void gravity. Instead, he taps into the supreme application of his Gojo lineage, modifying his technique to pull a completely different force into reality. Cursed technique reversal, Rojo. The reversal, Rojo. Absolute zero ice equals Angie's Rojo equals vacuum blast. Fall's attack, repulsive mass, shattered space. The purple sparks of his standard gravity instantly invert, bleeding into a blinding, crimson-red sphere of condensed, repulsive mass. It sits on the tip of his finger like a miniature, bleeding star. While Satoru's red relies on the limitless to create a divergence of infinity, Angie's Rojo works on the absolute reversal of gravitational attraction, negative mass. By creating a point of space with infinite repulsive weight, he forces reality itself to violently push outward. Repel, Angie whispers. The crimson blast keeps moving. The atmospheric pressure increases so rapidly that the oxygen in the air ignites, turning the frozen schoolyard into a roaring, wind-swept furnace in a fraction of a second. The massive ice dome Fall built shatters into millions of harmless, vaporized droplets. Fall's eyes widen in sheer horror, as the shockwave slams into her defensive demonic barriers. The barriers crack instantly under the weight of the negative mass, forcing the Satan back by several dozen feet, her boots carving deep trenches into the concrete before she can finally stabilize her footing. She pants slightly, looking down at her trembling hands. Her absolute ice, which could freeze the fires of the underworld, was utterly obliterated by a single casual gesture from a human teenager. Angie lowers his hand, the crimson light fading back into the darkness of the night. He looks at Fall, his emerald eyes gleaming with that trademark, insufferable Gojo arrogance. "You see, Leviathan," Angie mocks, a sharp smirk pulling at his lips. Absolute zero means nothing when the space around you is being pushed away at the speed of light. Try bringing a real challenge next time. Yuji stares at the devastated street, then at Angie, completely speechless. "Dude, you just blew up the entire front gate. We are definitely getting detentions for this." The power of Rojo has completely stunned the underworld ruler.